going on, you guys? Well, even though it's a busy day, that doesn't mean I still don't have a little time. You know, I'm on my way to work right now, and I figured I'd tell you guys at least a piece of a story. We'll do a couple parts of this, because I definitely want to get him in here and have his take on it also. But I'll tell you guys a little story of when me and my best friend were... Oh boy, we definitely met in elementary school, but I know we weren't doing any entrepreneur business type things in elementary school. You know, how many people are. But in middle school, that's a whole different thing. You know, in middle school, we were selling candies, we were hustling DVDs. Anyways, we were definitely selling candy. Candy was our number one thing, so it started off pretty small, you know. I'm pretty sure we bought a couple of things from Walmart the first time, and just to test it out, and it did really good. I'm pretty sure we sold out the first box that we bought that very first day. You know, we were selling them like 50 cents, 75 cents. I think it was 50 cents in school, and you know, it was selling pretty good. And you know, we knocked it up another level. So my parents had a Sam's card, and we started purchasing from Sam's. And then my dad was given a Costco card from his job. And the benefit of the Costco card was there were no taxes involved. So we were able to buy this candy in bulk with no taxes involved. So our margin for profit was vast, you know. And we figured we did that for a little while longer. And then we got this story together. And we figured we could make more money. So we got our bicycles, we got our book bags, and we would hit the neighborhoods. We would do all different types of neighborhoods, kind of like if it was a paper route. But we were going around knocking on doors, selling candy. And we'd knock on the door. Hi, we have a band trip or whatever story of the day it was. Every day was a different story. Whatever, you just keep up with your story. But I'm not advising you guys that this is what you need to do. I'm just telling you what we did. But so we would go around through the whole neighborhood, and we would knock on all the doors, we would sell candy. He would take one side of the road, I'd take the other side of the road, and we'd make a lot of money. You know, we'd come back home, we'd sell all the candy, come back with like $120. You know, it's not all complete profit, because you still have to turn around and you have to buy all that candy again, and then you got to do it all over again the next day. So, you know, it's a business, but being so young and doing that type of stuff, you definitely put yourself in a position to where you learn, and knowledge is key. You know, I mean, no, we weren't doing the greatest thing, going around lying to people just to sell candy, but we also weren't hurting anybody, and we were learning how to do business. And ever since then, you know, that's my business partner. Nowadays, I'm more of the solo person. I don't like to depend on other people, you know, and that's a big problem where stuff fails there, is when you have to depend on someone else and they just don't come through. So, you know, it's taken me a long time to learn that lesson, but nowadays I am a solo person. You know, I run my own business, I make my own decisions, and I don't answer to nobody. And that's pretty nice. But anyways, so when I was in school, there's a roadkill snake on the floor. But when I was in school, you know, it started off pretty small, so everything was able to fit in my one book bag, and it was pretty inconspicuous. But as it continued to grow, I started bringing a second book bag, and then it continued to grow, and we added the DVDs. I had to bring a third book bag, and needless to say, I did get busted 2 times, and if I was told if I got busted again, I would get kicked out. So my mind just started running. You know, how can I continue to do this and not risk getting kicked out of school? So I hired somebody, and that might have been the best thing that I had ever done. See, there was this other kid that was also selling candy because he saw that what we were doing, but he wasn't so successful with it. And he also rode our bus. So I came to him with the whole pitch. I'll buy the candy, you sell the candy, you give me the money at the end of the day, and I'll give you a cut. And he was down for it. And that's what we did. We did that for, so we went to high school. I'm pretty sure we still did that in high school for a while. Because, I mean, for him, it was nice. He didn't have to buy anything. He would still get a decent cut because he was doing most of the work. And stuff was nice. I didn't have to worry about selling too much candy. I didn't have to worry about getting busted in school. Now, when we got out of school, that was a whole different thing. We made our money. And then, you know, we got a little bit older. We were able to get a driver's license. And with that money that we were making, yeah, we didn't save all of it. With kids, what kind of kids saves all their money? You know, you're advised to. It's definitely a great decision to save as much as you can now while you have the chance. But we didn't. So when we got a little bit older, we purchased a truck because my parents had this thing. They had an SUV, and with the trailer, they were just going around picking up cardboard. So they were making okay money picking up cardboard, but it wasn't great money. But we seen the potential, so I went around looking for different trucks. So I found the perfect truck. It had an extended bed. We were able to carry a lot of cardboard, and then we also added the trailer along with it. So needless to say, we were making about $250 a day, just hauling around cardboard, maybe 3 or 4 runs a day. So we were making pretty good money, but once again, we weren't saving any money. You know, there was a lot of costs in there. If the car breaks down, once the car breaks down, how are you going to make any money? But you know, if you have that mindset, there isn't much that's going to hold you down. You're gonna prevail no matter what. Just keep doing it, keep pushing forward, and just remember that you are the greatest that you can be, and no one can stop you from that. It's just a mental handicap. If you don't think that you're gonna succeed, you may never succeed. You might as well just give up now. Crawl under your covers and don't come back. That simple. But I know if you're watching this, you definitely want to see what it was that we did and what you could do for yourself. But I mean, simple as it is, just what do you like to do? What are your favorite things to do? What can you make money doing what you love to do? When I was a child, I loved professional wrestling. I always used to tell everybody that I was going to be a professional wrestler. I have a buddy of mine that's a rapper, and he's so funny because every time that we run into each other, you know, we've known each other for years upon years, but when we were in elementary and first grade together, he still remembers me standing up, doing my introduction and telling everybody I wanted to be a professional wrestler when everybody else was saying they wanted to be police officers, firefighters. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And you know what? I do it now. You know, I waited until I was 18. We paid for it was a 20, how much was it? I think it was, since we paid cash, because I mean, if you didn't pay cash, it was about $4 grand, $3,500. But we paid cash, so it was only $2,500. And, you know, I got my ass kicked, but it definitely taught a very good lesson, you know? And everything in life, you learn. You learn and you grow. And if you don't learn, then you get lost. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up here, and we'll continue these little stories along. This is part 1. I'm gonna try to get my homeboy in here for part 2. One of them. But I've spoken about 2 of my boys. One of them being Leo, the other one being Mike. So check it out. Let me know what you think about this and what I can add to this. I will continue this story because there is way more. There is way more. We've known each other for well over 15 years. And me and him are very, very, very business oriented. So feel free to ask any questions. I'll answer whatever. But you guys have a great one. And as to the stock market, everybody, you guys stay green.
When you love, you will see. We can do it live. No one's gonna give you